You're resolving a force into x and y components, and you look at the angle, you freeze for a second, you'll be like, does it get sine or cosine? You guess it, you might get it right, you might get it wrong, but the worst part is sometimes you don't even know that you got it wrong, which is going to mess up all the calculations after that. So I asked Claude to go through all the comments, and it gave me one single question that you guys asked the most in this channel. So in this video, we're going to be talking how to find the actual method to make sure that we don't get this wrong. We always have it correct on any angle on any axis. If you caught my last video, you know that I've been teaching this course for 12 semesters at the university. I've seen hundreds of students each semester. I've seen a lot of exams, lots of midterms, lots of assignments. And it's funny because I actually saw the same question and same mistake happening during the exams, midterms, and even quizzes. So as I mentioned earlier, I use AI to go through all the comments, and by a wide margin, most of the comments were like, why is this cosine? Why this component is this sine? So basically same confusion across all different videos. And I know people are using some shortcuts to memorize this thing. For example, common mistake, students are like, okay, the x component is always cosine and the y component is sine. That's true only in one specific condition, so it depends which angle and which axis we're considering. I'm going to give you a shortcut at the end of this video so you know, okay, how we can find this safely. But the method that we're actually using is not changing. We just have to consider one triangle, and that's where all of these are coming from. And once we have that, everything sits in place. So let's just go over a quick example and see where this sine and cosine first is coming from. And after that, we're going to go over that shortcut, how to get it fast, easy, without any confusion. So let's get to the question. All right, guys, let's go over the method that we were talking about, how to avoid those mistakes and how to get the x and y components correctly. So first thing, we're talking about the vector. Force is a vector, which means it has direction and magnitude. So how do we resolve a force? Basically, we can use either the parallelogram rule or the triangle rule. So for the parallelogram, you're basically drawing parallel lines to each side. So this would give you the x component and this will be our y component. And we can also use the triangle rule because if we put the fy in here, we can see we have a triangle that the resultant of fx and fy is going to give us the f. So now if you look at it, we ended up with a triangle, which is a right triangle. We know fx and fy are perpendicular to each other. And all we need to do in here is just to go with the definition of the sine and cosine. What is sine of 15 degrees? It's going to be the opposite, which is fy over the hypotenuse f. So if we just cross multiply this, fy would be f sine of 15 degrees, and fx, we're going to use the cosine of 15 degrees, which is fx over f. So if we cross multiply, fx would be f cosine of 15 degrees. So we figure out the magnitude of each of these two components, but as I said, because they are vectors, they also have direction. So for the direction, if the vector is along the positive x-axis, it will be positive. So we can see our fx is along positive x-axis, so we have positive for that. And for fy also, fy is along the same direction of y, so they're both positive. And if we want to write it down as a vector, our f would be f cosine of 15 degrees, again positive, and f sine of 15 degrees for the y, and that's how we express a vector in vector format. Okay, let's move on to the a little bit trickier question. So this one, our f makes the angle alpha with y-axis, and now if we apply the same thing, so basically we are trying to find the fx and fy. So we can actually shift that y-axis because it's parallel to y here. So we call it y, and we can do the same thing for x. So just bring our x-axis here too. So again, we're going to make that parallelogram, which because our x and y in here are perpendicular, it's going to turn into a rectangle, which is specific kind of parallelogram. So that's going to be our fx, and now this is going to be fy. So the only thing different in here, in the previous example, we have the angle with the x-axis. Now we have the angle with the y-axis. So that's going to change our sine and cosine because now we have to either consider this triangle that I'm highlighting in yellow or the one below that. So now if we look at it, we can see that fx is this side, which is the opposite to alpha. So instead of f cosine of 15, now our fx is sine of 15 because we have the opposite side. So f sine of 15 degrees, is it positive? Yes, because again, they are acting along positive x-axis. So they're both positive. That's going to be our I and or the x component, and I is the unit vector. So for the y, now we have the adjacent to the alpha because that's our right triangle. So this one's also positive, plus f cosine of 15 degrees j. So that's where the confusion is coming from. And that's why I get the question, is this sine of that angle or is it cosine? And it really depends on the angle with the axis. So as long as you have the angle with the x-axis, cosine would be the angle, which was the case in the previous example. So we have the angle of f with x-axis 15 degrees. But if you switch to the y-axis, the angle between f and y, which was this example, everything switches. So what you can do, you can just always find the angle of the vector, the force with the x-axis. For example, in here, it's easy enough to find the other angle because we have a right angle. So that's going to be 90 minus alpha degrees. So as long as you have that, you can go on with the cosine for the x and sine for the y-axis. Again, as long as you have the angle with the x-axis. So let's make this a little bit more complicated just for the sake of practice. Let's say now we have the same force F, but we have different axes. Let me just clean up these. All right, now instead of x and y, we have n and t, knowing that and the angle is still with vertical line is alpha, but also we have one angle here, beta. Now we have to resolve the force F again. So let's see how we can do. So again, we can, N actually lies on the line of action of the F. What we can do, we can actually shift the T here, similar to what we did in the previous example. So let's bring our T here. Now we have the force F, which is applying in this way. So that's the line of action of F, still the same force. If we continue on the tail, so that's our F. And we know that this angle here is alpha, which was the angle with the vertical line. But also if you want to resolve this force into N and T components, so we do the same thing. We're trying to make that rectangle. So these are the two components that we have. This one would be our N component and the other one would be our FT. Now we have to find out an angle with either N-axis or T-axis because we don't have that angle yet. But we know this angle is beta, and there was a trick that we talked in the channel a lot, and that would be when you have two angles that the sides are perpendicular to the other one, like this. So this one perpendicular to this and this one to that. These two angles are the same. That's the same story in here because we have this one and this one where they are perpendicular to each other. So these two angles are the same, which means the angle right here is also beta. Now we have the angle with each of the sides. If you look at it, let's just clean up the FT and FX. Now, if you look at it, our FT would be this side that is the adjacent of that angle, this angle right here, which is basically alpha plus beta. And also we can see that it's acting in the opposite direction of t, so it's negative, and it will be f cosine of alpha plus beta, and our fn is also negative because again it's in the opposite direction of n, so negative f, and it will be this side which is the opposite to that angle, sine of alpha plus beta. So these are the two components, again two things, direction and the magnitude. So you can see sometimes we are dealing with different axes. It's not necessarily x and y. Then again, if we have the angle with x, it will be cosine, and it will be, and if it's with y-axis, it will be sine. So it's worth mentioning that always go for adjacent and opposite. If you see your component is adjacent to that angle, it's always cosine. And if it's the opposite, it will be the sine. So I personally use adjacent and opposite, but most of the time when we don't deal with like these kind of axes where there is n and t, you're dealing with x and y axis 80% of the time, 90% of the time. So if that's the case, just figure out the angle with the x-axis, cosine of that angle is going to give you the x, and sine of that angle is going to give you y. And yeah, that's pretty much for this. Hope this was helpful. What's the next step? Go through a couple of problems, try to apply this method in your problems that you were struggling before, and see if you get the correct answer or no. I'm sure you will, but if you feel like there's something missing or there's a challenge that you need to overcome, feel free to book your 15-minute strategy call. The link's in the description. We're gonna sit together and see how we can move you forward to the next step. And keep in mind, we only have a few of these every week. So go book your session. I'm planning to post more problems around this because that's what I get the most questions from. And you guys take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.